Hey, good people, we are glad to have you back here on the program, The Wake Up Crew, here on CRTV Northwest. And at this moment, we are diving into our guest segment of the program. We have a gentleman here in the studio who is extraordinarily talented. I must commend him that way. And I'm sure that you too would really love to know who he is, what he does, and to be an inspiration to artists out there, or let me say poets, if I have to put it that way, because we know poets, artists, it's really difficult to have a clear-cut distinction based on what they do, because they convey messages that are actually useful to the society. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
When we say Motani, this is a name that has been making waves in Bamenda, in the Northwest, and even in the country, because you've been moving around in other places, doing the work that you know how to do best. When we talk about Motani, who are we referring to?
Okay. First of all, I want to say a big thank you for having me for the show. I'm very, very honored, and I feel great to be here with you today. When we talk about Motani, yes, Motani comes from my name that was given when I was born. The name is Tani Desmond Awa. That's the name that my father, Tani Joseph, gave me. And Motani simply means picking for Tani. Picking for Tani, because it comes from the dialect Mo. In the dialect we call a child mourner. Yes, and then I just had to combine Mo, the beginning of the name Pekin, and Tani to have Motani, which means I am the son or the child of Patani.
Okay, going away from being the child of Patani, Motani, let us know, tell us about yourself. We know when we go to places we call Motani, heads get to turn. People want to see what you're able to produce. Now, for those who have never met you, those who've not heard about you, when we say Motani, what do you do?
I will say Motani is an artist here in the Northwest region with the purpose of inspiring, motivating, and creating impact first for himself. That's for himself, and then to the community. It's like when I was very young, I had some challenges while I was growing, and I realized that the only way I could vent out those challenges, the only way I could send out or ease myself of the stress and the pain of the things I was going through, was through writing poetry.
Okay.
So in the long run, I wrote poetry. I wrote a lot of poems when I was young, especially when I'm angry, when I'm too happy, I had to write. Yes. So that was a way for me to vent out that. And then at one point, I had to get into performing, like telling my story to the world using poetry, telling my story to the world using poems, like telling my story, because I realized that what I'm going through, other people of my age are still going through that same thing. So me telling my story shamelessly, and then sharing too, the same poem, sharing to how I got through particular situations, I believe it will help others be able to get out of that situation, or those in similar situations to know that, okay, they too can get over any challenge they are going through. So that's why I got into poetry, to make sure that I express myself, I heal myself, and be able to heal others, and also motivate and inspire them through the poems that I perform.
We know that many people want to turn to music as a therapy, something to pacify them, something to soothe their pain. What's so particular about poetry?
It's very true that many people turn to music, some turn to paintings, some turn to different forms of art for healing. Because I remember Coach Landro says art is the way. Art is the highest way you can heal, whatever form you decide to take. So one thing I realized is at the beginning of this career as a poet, I was a spoken word artist, I realized that yes, music played its part. Speaking played its part. Painting also plays its part. But there are some people whom music cannot get to. There are some people who painting cannot help them release their stress. There are some people who the only thing that can help them overcome whatever challenge they are going through, or the only thing that they enjoy is poetry. So that is why I decided to take what I used. I wanted to take what I use so that I can speak from experience, not necessarily from only the things that I've read, but speak from experience, what healed me, and I can use that same thing that healed me to see if it can heal others.
And we know that when it comes to poetry, someone has to be extremely talented to be able to do it. I remember my secondary school days. From one, I want to look at the rhyming schemes, the stanzas, and everything to be able to rhyme based on the little or the basics that the teachers used to teach us. Write a poem on this, and somehow it was so challenging somehow. And you are into spoken word poetry, Motani. How do you do it?
I like the way you say that you must be talented, but I believe in talent counts, but hard work does it. It's about being resilient, being consistent in what you do. It is when I grew up to a particular level and did my research that I remember that I realized that poetry must not necessarily rhyme. What makes a write-up, a poem, it's the rhythm. It's the rhythm. It takes it back to music. It's the rhythm. You create a rhythm with your words. So I realized that, okay, for me to write a poem that impacts or a poem that is good, it must not necessarily rhyme. If the rhyme comes, the rhymes makes it beautiful. Yes. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So the challenge is at the beginning, because I think your question is, how do I do it?
How do you do it? Because you know, I mean, I've watched you perform in different places at different occasions, and you're able to speak for about 10 minutes. I mean,
yes.
Does it just come from within, or is it that you've scripted them somewhere, you've done some mastery of it, and or is it that they just come spontaneously?
All right, I think for me to answer that question, I will take you back to there's an artist I respect so much, and she's a mentor, Joyce Babatunde. I don't know if you know her.
Okay.
Joyce Babatunde, I think when we started Black Swagger Poetry Slam in Bamenda, Joyce Babatunde used to stand on stage and do the same thing I'm doing today. And I was like, I said, Mama, how you do it in it? How possible is it is for you? He would tell me that, okay, we have a concert on Sunday. Joy will write on Thursday, and on Sunday she's performing for 6, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes on stage, without any
with a lot of emotions.
A lot of emotions. She embodies. When I was asking her, Joy told me, Motani, some things take time. Some things take time. I didn't start like this, but because I've consistently been working, I am able to memorize a chunk of work at a time. So most times we have to script, because before writing a poem, you have to first of all decide what message do I want to pass out from that poem. So once you've decided your message, then you can decide now which type of poem you want to write. So most times you write, but there are stages where you reach on the stage and your lines disappear. Your lines disappear. You have a theme with you.
How
you
do you manage that kind of situation?
You have to create at that moment.
Yeah.
You have to create at that moment. The beautiful thing about it is that nobody knows what you've written about you. So if you have a mastery of the theme of whatever, or if you're contacted to do something on a particular theme, you have a mastery, and you get on stage and you lose your lines, that's where you have to create. But the challenge, what I'll tell you is, when I began, it starts by mastering one line at a time. You memorize one line at a time, 2 line, 3 line, then a stanza. Sometimes it takes a day to be able to master a stanza, to say it without any paper. And then just like that, you add the second stanza, the third stanza, the fourth stanza. Sometimes it takes a month to be able to master that thing that you do for 10 minutes. But when you do it consistently, you get to a point, that point that Babatunde was, yes, you can write today a whole chunk, 2 pages, 3 pages, and you're performing it tomorrow like you wrote it a month ago.
We know that most musical artists are poets, I must say, because I'm someone who is very passionate about art, written words somehow, and I get to follow some lyrics of songs, and I see the way they are presented in stanzas like poems. I mean, even the rhyming schemes are there. Okay, Motani, I want to know from you, aside from writing them out, do you have a situation where you're called up, just to deliver spontaneously? How do you do it?
Yeah, there are situations where I'm called up when I'm not prepared to deliver spontaneously. At that point, I just have to look at the environment, because that's one of the inspirations. I'm inspired by the environment, inspired by happenings around me, inspired by stories, my story, and stories I get from friends, and stories I get about Abakwa itself. So at that point, you just have to look at the environment that you're at. That point, I look at the environment that I'm in, then I can create from there. And sometimes while creating, something I had written before is now incorporated in what I have created. Yes, that's why when I don't have a gig or a performance I have to do, if I'm inspired, I still write. I just keep. Yeah, because once you've written it down, your subconscious has registered. When it comes to that point where you have to be spontaneous, once you start the spontaneity, at one point, those lines, if they are related to the theme that they have just gotten you to perform, it will come to you and you flow. And then another point, you might look at somebody and you are inspired to say something about the person. You might look at the environment, the colors in the room. You do something about those colors in the room.
No, that's what we call art, you know. And like they say, artists will always have their works embellished in the minds and the hearts of those who follow them up. Motani, I would like to know from you how this concept of spoken word poetry is not something that many people are into. Like we agreed at the beginning of the program that people will want to turn to other forms of art or other things. Like most young people are into drugs, they're into other deviant behavior with the guys that it's going to help them out of certain situations. How is this concept receptive, let's say, even among your peers?
Okay. In the beginning, it wasn't really that accepted. It wasn't all rosy. In the beginning, once I did a performance, Ayombom Jones of La Liberté Arts Group, he organized Black Swagger. That was the first time I did stage performance. Because I used to write way back in Form 4 and in the university. I had a lot of friends that we wrote together. So but when we started that, I think our first performance was at Dreamland somewhere in town. And when we were performing, people were asking, what kind of art is this? Saying, there is no melody. We ask, there is no melody.
Are these people going nuts?
Yes.
Are they crazy?
Sometimes they were looking at us and they were wondering whether we get shisha for our front. We don't make our day.
You're high.
Oh, we're not high. So in the beginning, it wasn't easy because someone would listen and say, okay, I don't understand this form of art. I know music, I know painting, I know dancing. Which one is this?
Yes.
Which one is this? And it took us a lot of time to be able to even convince them. At one point in time, we had to infuse the other forms of art. To be able to get their attention before we do what we have to do. Ayombom Jones made sure that every show there should be a musical artist, somebody who does music. So the person comes and then first of all warms up the stage and gets the attention of the people. Once they've gotten the attention of the people, that's where we can now deliver whatever we are speaking, and they might be able to listen. When they are getting bored, music comes in. When they are getting bored, poetry comes in. So that's when they are getting bored, we bring painting, music, dancing, then before we bring back the poetry. So that's how it began gradually. There at one point now, they could actually sit down and digest the words or the message we want to pass out of a poem. So gradually, I think, and what you're saying makes a lot of sense, because at the beginning when we were not really that accepted here in the Northwest region, because other places had accepted, the US, the other countries, and even in the French section of the country, they have slammers. So at the beginning, most of the poets had to convert their poems to songs. Unfortunately, they had to convert their poems to songs because they were not accepted. And most of them today are rappers, because as you see,
and most of these songs that they get to convey from emotions, it gets to be like dirges.
Yes, that's it. Dirges. I think dirges. Our grandmothers are good with those kind of things. They are great. That's one thing I'm trying to incorporate into poems nowadays, to get back to the originality. And because our forefathers and ancestors were all poets. Yes, they were all poets. With the exclamations they did, the chants they made, it was just so poetry. So it became very challenging, and they converted their poems to songs. But gradually, Abakwa itself has now known what spoken word poetry is, and you will hardly have an event where there isn't a spoken word poet doing a performance, because there are people that can easily tailor their poems to suit the theme of that occasion. It will take a lot for an artist, a musical artist who has recorded his song, to go and change to suit your occasion, to go and change to suit your event. But for a poet, just give him the theme of the event, and they can be able to create something that will add more flesh to whatever you want to convey to your audience at that event.
All right, Motani. Towards the end of the program, you're going to do us a little performance. I know that the listeners listening, those who are getting this concept, they'll be like, "What's it all about? What's it all about?" But then I want to promise you, dear people, that towards the end, you're going to have something to actually make your money from Motani, who is our guest here in the studio on the program, The Wake Up Crew. Motani, I want to know. Most young people want to engage into stuff that will put food on their table, stuff that will give them the millions, the billions immediately. With spoken word poetry, do you really make money?
Good question. Very, very good question. One thing I know is everything takes time.
Mm-hmm.
Everything takes time. If you want to make money, it's going to take time for you to learn whatever craft you want to make money.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, it wasn't.
Okay.
In the beginning, it wasn't. We ran Black Swagger for close to 10 years or so, and we could hardly break even.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we do shows, we go and perform, and we go back walking on foot. We don't have transport.
Mm-hmm.
It was challenging. But the thing I always tell every artist is, if you're passionate and you feel like you have the calling for a particular craft, learn another skill.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the beginning, it will not pay. In the beginning, it's still about you proving yourself. The universe is still asking you, who are you?
Mm-hmm.
That's what is happening. In the beginning, the universe still asks you, who are you? I always have this concept. They say, when you get into a particular compound, if the dog starts barking at you, it's not because the dog hates you,
Mm-hmm.
but it's because it doesn't know you.
Yes.
He wants you to introduce yourself.
Yes.
So, in the beginning of your craft, it will be challenging because you will not have the money. You will perform, they will not give you nothing, they will not give you anything. Or someone will come and do something less than you.
Yes.
But that person will be paid because they have been in the craft for long.
Mm-hmm.
So I say it takes time. So at that beginning, we were not making any money.
Mm-hmm.
I was not making any money.
Mm-hmm.
I was putting money,
investment,
time, resources, transport to go for Black Swagger, to go for meetings and everything. Thanks to Ayombom Jones for creating that platform, and thanks to Yembe for, those are people that believed in me before I even believed in myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we were able to struggle and struggle and struggle and struggle and struggle, but at one point, the money started coming. Mm-hmm. The Black Swagger Poetry Slam that we ran this town for close to 10 years. Mm-hmm. If you ask Ayombom Jones and Yembe, they will tell you he didn't give us any money.
Yeah.
But he gave us exposure. He gave us exposure.
Mm-hmm.
At least when someone listens to your poem performing on Black Swagger stage or sees it online, that now tells them that, okay, this person can do this. So they used to call us for occasions to come and perform. Sometimes 5,000-10,000, sometimes 15,000. Now today is ranging from 50 to 300,000 or even 400,000, depending on where you're going to perform.
Yes.
And today I'm taking a tour around the country.
Yes.
With poetry. And logistics and everything is being covered by an organization. That took close to 10 years to make it, to reach that level. So I tell the artists, in the beginning, your craft may not, I'm not saying it's a standard that it will not, but it may not be giving you anything. But you are so passionate about it, because one thing I know about craft, when you're given this calling, is that it fits your soul. If you don't do it, you might end up feeling frustrated even after having a lot of money in the world. You might end up looking for things to distract yourself in, because within your soul there is that hole. And that's why most people who had a craft, and because they could not make money, left the craft to make just money and forgot about the craft. In the long run, they find themselves either into more alcohol, drugs, promiscuity, or some other thing that is destroying their system, because there is that hole that is empty, and you're looking for something to fill it. And you only get temporal things that fill it. But once you fill it with what it's supposed to be, you feel so fulfilled. At the beginning, it was like for me, it was just like, whenever I leave the stage, I feel uplifted, I feel happy. Yes. But at one point, as you're asking, the money is very, very necessary for your well-being, because you have to pay bills, you have to eat, you have to travel, you have to wear clothes, you have to. So, but in the beginning, it will not. So at the beginning, I have other things that, even till now, I still have other things that I'm doing apart from the poetry. But the poetry now, I would not say it's not paying. The poetry now, it's paying. In the beginning, it wasn't like that.
All right, Motani, I will also want to know from you, at this moment, you've told us how far you've come. What's your vision? Where are you heading to? You have hosted shows, you have also trained other young persons who are coming after you into this particular line of art? Where are you? What's your vision?
Okay. At the beginning, as I said, it was about performing. At one point, I asked myself, not everybody will be able to come for the shows. People are very busy. And it is said that in Africa, once you launch a product that is different, once you launch your product, your first competitor is food. People are trying to get food.
To eat.
Yes, people are trying to get food. And it must be worthwhile for them to leave food to come for something that it does not give them food.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, it was really challenging, and we realized that most people hardly come for shows. But there are a lot of things that we do embed in our poems that our community needs, because we can't rise alone. You cannot rise alone. You must rise with people. And a community will hardly go above the level of its majority population. So the poetry, first of all, was to sensitize and see how you can raise awareness about community ills, raise awareness about how powerful you as a human being is, and how you can recreate yourself. So at one point we discovered that most people cannot make it for the show. Even sometimes the audience that we need cannot make it for the show. So I built that vision of, okay, I will have to record the poetry.
Okay.
And so that they can listen on radio. I can sell the CDs and the flash. I can put it on streaming platforms, so that even at the comfort of their room, at the comfort of their car, the poetry can get to them, and the message that I want to disseminate can also get to them. Because as they rise, all of us are rising.
Exactly.
Yes. So that's why I had to go into recording my first poetry album, which was Dark Light Poetry Album. We talked about the crisis, talked about love and sex, and a couple of things about our community that was worth talking about. Then we moved to Bruises. Bruises was it's a gender-based violence EP. That's what got me the project that I'm touring the country now.
Okay.
Yes, the gender-based violence EP. I realized that gender-based violence is one thing that is eating our society. You're living in a neighborhood, and there you know that particular man and woman that if 1 week passes and you don't hear them shouting or fighting, then there's a problem.
There's still a problem.
There's a problem. And the challenging thing is that they have tried, they are fighting, they are shouting, but they are not leaving each other. Yes, they keep staying. When you tell them, nah, they are not going anywhere. It's do or die. So we had to now do our research and get into Bruises, which was a poetry album on gender-based violence. So my vision actually had been to get poetry to the streets. Get poetry to the streets so that the layman, because poetry is not just for intellectuals. You have people who have not gone through the walls of school, but if they do a poem here, maybe in the language they know best, Pidgin, English, or the dialect, and you look at the sense of it, you'll be marveled.
Yes.
But some of us are sometimes feel like, okay, because I cannot speak the English, then I cannot do poetry. Because I cannot speak the English or Pidgin, I cannot do poetry. Meanwhile, those things that come originally from you, if you want to do a poem in the dialect, someone who does a poem in the dialect, you might not understand what he's saying. But I say art is spirit.
Yes.
You might connect with the spirit. That's why there are some artists who sing and you don't even hear what they are singing.
You don't hear the singing very
but they are all over the place.
Yes.
Yes.
And you find even kids repeating those words.
Thank you so much. Say art is beyond language. So it's about taking, my challenge was taking poetry to the street. So we were done a lot of poems. Then at one point, Coach Lanjo, my personal coach and trainer, told me, Mutani, you want to take poems to the street. That means you have to take it to the street in the language of the street, which is about taking the poetry to Pidgin.
The lingua franca.
The lingua franca. It was challenging at the beginning. In the beginning, I wrote. Because the only thing one of the challenges we are facing is we are banned from speaking Pidgin in most formal settings.
Yes.
And meanwhile, that's the only thing we can be proud of and call it our own.
Yes.
Because you cannot speak English more than the Englishman.
Never.
You cannot speak French more than the Frenchman.
English and French.
You're always second. You're always second. But Pidgin is originality from us. So, Coach said we have to take the poetry to Pidgin. It was challenging. I wrote the first poem I gave him, he translated. Imagine he translated a poem that I wrote and I could not still understand. When I saw the Pidgin, I took the Pidgin and the English and I was looking at. But after I did a few performances at different occasions, that poem in Pidgin, the feedback I got, the connection I got from the layman on the street was different. That's why till today, I will hardly do a poem entirely in English.
Yes.
Something must come in Pidgin. And the poets that I'm working with and the ones that I'm mentoring or training, I tell them, if you can do it in the dialect, put construct inside. So that when your village man hear,
yes, they can easily relate.
Yes, they can easily relate. because the art that is given is not for you, it's for someone out there. So it's not about you proud that I'm the highest person who can speak English, I can use languages and all that. No, boy, knock the team for PG for Okadama year for his king go work. I say no, I like to listen to this thing over and over.
Yeah.
When they started rapping in pidgin in Cameroon, that's where rap is almost all over the place because they decided to take it to the language of the layman. So it's about taking it to the streets, taking it to the comfort of our homes, making sure that everywhere you go, you can be able to have poetry that will be able to uplift, sensitize, or even heal you from whatever challenge you're going through.
Well, Tani, we know that you've written a litany of these poems. We know you've performed in different places. I would like you to give this privilege, this honor to our listeners this morning. You know, the circumstances, the crisis is eating deep into the fabric of the society. We have societal ills. We have other things that people are dealing with. We know that there are people actually listening to us now, and they might need just a word to be healed, to make their day. Could you just do us something before we call it the end of the program?
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Hey, I want to give you guys Fireside.
Okay.
Fireside. That's the title of that poem. Yes, and it's available online on all streaming platforms and also on YouTube. Fireside. It goes like this. We dey feel love for this place. We dey breathe peace for this place. We dey risk our lives for this place. We dey broke our backs for fix this place. This place is all we know. It is all we dream and where our parents sow. Where our ancestors bled but didn't bow, beaten, humiliated, and their backs used like a cow. But they kept on in sorrow, never water low. Their blood watered this land, so do not expect us to give up now. For they cried, they laughed, they sang and danced to the sound of lash weepings from fellow brothers, but looked up to Baba for up. So us he raised to take by force like the days of John the Baptist. So no the wonder, no try for put asunder. For we fight each other for love and stamina, preparing ourselves to fight the intruder. For our land must prosper, our children must grow, and our people must show that the sweat of their brow is proof of their power. Uphold our languages we will, uphold our diversity we will, raw we will, if you try for touch our culture. For we are a team operating from a different realm. You know why, so you think we scheme, but all know we are driven by a dream. To build this city to stand like the city on a hill, like ancient Babylon from scratch, touch by touch, block by block, so let the hate die. Make man no cry, see we fly, no things say we dey dry. Make your pain he die, make your sky he blue. Look to the heavens and saw, from where cometh your help. So look to the sky, till those who look you as fry, watch and wonder as you fly.
Is that the end?
No.
Should Motani.
Should I go on? I like to just go on and on and on and on.
That was marvelous, you know. I really enjoyed it, and I was like, it's music to my ears. I want you to sing over and over and over again. Well, dear listeners, this is just a tip of the iceberg of what Motani can actually do to grace that event of yours, to grace, I mean, even in the office space. Why not just call him to come, just say some words?
You're saying it. Come on. I need those gigs, man.
Yes.
At the end of the day, I need dough.
Oh my God. And the dough you have.
Yeah, that's it. The socially be.
Motani, we know you cannot do this on your own. Do you need support? Do you need people to stand by you? Do you need young people to come around you to learn poetry?
Definitely. I will not always have the strength. And I cannot do it alone. I cannot create the sensation I want to create alone. So that is why we always do call for poets, those who love poem, to come and let's learn. Come and let's do performances together. We need you, because one thing is clear. I can only tell my own story in my own language, with my own perspective. But you have to tell your own story. The world wants to hear your own story in your own language, with your own perspective. So that's why we are ready to train poets. We are ready to train whoever who wants to do performances. We need you. Abakwa needs you. This country needs you, and Africa needs you. So it's that time for you. If you've been curbing down that drive to do spoken word poetry or do poetry, it's that time for you to come out so you can tell your story and let the world understand.
Motani, how can young people get to you? We know that you would definitely do it here in Bamenda. You might not find yourself in Bamenda in the next month, in the next year. So, continuity sake, how can they get to you?
They can get to me on social media. Motani is spelled Mottani on all social media platforms. They can get to the website www.motani.com. You'll get a lot from there. They can also get to me through the numbers 699-444-555. 699-444-555. Or write me email. The email is tanidesmondawa@gmail.com or motani@motani.com, something like that.
Wow,
Yes,
I like when young people want to share their knowledge and to also train other young people. Your last words before we call it a day on this edition of the Wake Up Crew. Let's know from you. Youths are into drug. Youths are into deviant behaviors. Scammers everywhere. What word of caution do you have for them?
I would like to just tell one thing to them. Whatever you're doing, if it's not enhancing your life, if it's not enhancing your health, if it's not building your health, just know that you're breaking it. And this body is the only boss that was given to you to drive through this earth. And if you're destroying that body by consuming certain things, or because you think it will help you get over certain situations, just know that situations will not change till you decide to change.
Thank you so much, Tani Desmond, the child of Tani.
Tani.
Thank you so much for making it here on this edition of the Wake Up Crew here on CRTV Northwest. We hope that you find time to come again and we discuss.
Don't call me anytime.
Oh my God.
I don't get plenty of work.
Oh, that's a privilege. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to continue with the Wake Up Crew as we dive into the world of our respective slots. Stay with us.